Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Benefits with Savoy. My name is Ashlyn Sanders, and I'm the Senior Director of Customer Engagement at Savoy, and I'm here today with my good friend, colleague, and fellow partner in crime when it comes to Medicare, Angie Wilson. Angie is an account manager, trainer, and overall Medicare expert here at Savoy.
Hi, Ashlyn. So happy to be joining you here today.
Me too, Angie. And we have a great podcast lined up today for our listeners, chock full of information on ways we can better support our employer groups with Medicare-eligible employees. So whether you're a broker who sells Medicare directly or a broker who specializes in group coverage, Angie's top 5 tips are a perfect way for brokers to stay competitive and prove their value to employer groups with employees aging into Medicare, which is in fact most employer groups, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, Ashlyn. More and more individuals are working past 65 these days, so the majority of employer groups have Medicare-eligible employees or dependents on their plan. Plus, 10,000 baby boomers turn 65 each day, so there is a big influx of Medicare eligibles aging in each day, which will continue within the next 10 years.
So as much as we may want to run from Medicare, it sounds like 10,000 boomers per day isn't something any insurance broker can afford to ignore. HR administrators across the nation will be depending on their group brokers to assist with questions as their employees turn 65. Long story short, the Medicare business isn't just something individual or consumer brokers need to be worried about anymore, but in fact, it is something group brokers should really have on their radar.
Exactly, Ashlyn. More and more group brokers are reaching out to us asking for help with educational sessions and services for their employer groups and their employees turning 65. It's something employer groups are expecting and demanding their brokers to be able to handle. And if they can't, they have no choice but to turn to someone else for the help. That's not a good thing.
Not a good thing at all. And that's the perfect way to summarize what's at risk, Angie. The trust, confidence, and revenue of your groups, which is exactly why we're here today. To make sure our brokers have the tools they need to remain successful while riding this Medicare wave. Or better yet, with 10,000 boomers aging in per day, Medicare is more like a tsunami. With that said, let's jump into some of your tips for brokers in ways that we here at Savoy can help them unlock the potential that the Medicare market provides.
Well, Ashlyn, the biggest and perhaps easiest way for brokers to find Medicare opportunities is to scan their census. Look for birthdays with years 1958 and earlier. These are your Medicare opportunities within your groups. Once you have these, reach out to the group and suggest setting up an educational session for these employees, which, by the way, is something I'm always happy to collaborate with our Savoy brokers to schedule.
Sounds simple enough. Find the Medicare-eligible individuals, then make sure they understand what they need to do and when. What's next?
My second tip is to make sure you consider the size of the group. If your groups are less than 20 employees, any Medicare-eligible employee or spouse must enroll in Medicare Parts A and B when first eligible. If they don't, claims may not be paid, and there is a potential for financial penalties due to late enrollment. So not only will there be some very upset members, but we've seen employers blame their brokers for not making them aware of these requirements. So if the group is 20 or more, the member may be able to delay Medicare's A and B, but in most cases, Medicare might be a better option in terms of cost and coverage. So it's always a good idea to ensure the employees are provided these educational sessions.
Makes perfect sense to me. So tip number 2, make sure you know how your group size affects Medicare enrollment, but regardless of size, all employees really should be educated on Medicare before they turn 65.
Now, tip 3 and 4 are a little more complicated, and they are about HSAs and Cobra and how they interact with Medicare. First, health savings accounts. Once enrolled in Medicare's A and or B, individuals can no longer contribute to pre-tax dollars to their HSAs. If you have a group with an HSA plan in place, determine if there are Medicare-eligible members enrolled and educate them ASAP on how their HSA could be affected. Next is Cobra. There are various scenarios based on eligibility and whether the member is already enrolled in Medicare, which can be very tricky. I'm not going to bore you with all the different situations, but it is important for brokers to review their groups with Cobra qualifying individuals and educate them. I recently had a group who offered 6 months worth of Cobra as an early retirement benefit. Some of their employees were Medicare eligible. This is not a great situation because those employees had to pick up parts A and B because Cobra is not considered primary, so the Medicare is primary. Once Cobra ends for those particular people, although it didn't cost them anything for 6 months, it could cost them some penalties going forward. When they're ready to go on to Medicare, they will miss certain enrollment periods. They won't be able to pick up a prescription drug plan, for instance, or they may not qualify for a supplement and have a guaranteed issue.
And most times we think of Cobra for terminated individuals, but Cobra is also available for those experiencing major life events such as reduction in work hours, retirement, or the loss of a spouse due to separation, divorce, or in the most unfortunate cases, death.
Exactly, Ashlyn. Cobra is not always as simple as termination. It's important to consider all scenarios.
Very important, apparently. Okay, if you're keeping score at home, Angie has stepped us through the importance of scanning your census, the role group size plays, how HSAs work with Medicare, and the nuances of Cobra, which is all great stuff. I told you guys she was an expert. Now, if I'm counting correctly, I think that leaves us with one more tip.
Yep, you got it, Ashlyn, and that is credible coverage is key. So if a group does not offer credible prescription benefits equal to what Medicare offers, the employee or spouse or dependent should enroll in a prescription drug plan, PDP, when first eligible. Or they may later face a Part D delayed enrollment penalty for life.
Forced to pay a penalty for life?
Yes, for life. It's just as scary as it sounds. The plan sponsor is responsible for filing their group health plan with CMS and notifying employees of whether coverage is credible or not. But ultimately, the penalty falls on the Medicare-eligible individual if they do not enroll in Part D timely. Find out which of your groups do not provide credible prescription drug coverage and offer to set up educational sessions with any employees ages 65 and older.
Okay, so it sounds like there are lots of opportunities for brokers to educate their group clients on Medicare compliance and enrollment options. Now, I'm sure we have at least a few brokers listening who still have concerns. So if I could pretend to be a mind reader for a minute and speak on behalf of these brokers, what if a broker doesn't feel equipped to provide this level of education to their group clients or simply doesn't want to get involved in Medicare? If that's the case, what are their options?
Unfortunately, it isn't so much of if a broker is going to get the Medicare question anymore, but of when. Brokers can't avoid these inquiries any longer, so it's best to come up with a plan now so that when the question arises, you are ready to help your groups quickly and effortlessly. Medicare by Savoy can help brokers become licensed and educate on how to sell Medicare. But in a realistic world, that isn't an option for most. For these other brokers, myself, along with the Medicare by Savoy team, will act as an extension of the broker's business. We will essentially become your Medicare department. We will conduct free educational seminars for your groups and their employees. Your groups will feel confident that their employees are being provided the support they need to make informed decisions on their health coverage, and the broker remains the trusted advisor.
That sounds like a pretty nice solution to me, Angie. And we will make sure to include the Medicare by Savoy contact information in the description section of this podcast so that anyone interested can reach out with any questions or to learn more. But I just want to close out by thanking you for your time today and for all of your great insight into the world of Medicare.
Of course, Ashlyn. It's been great, and it's always fun when we get a chance to get together.